Hey guys, Rex here. You can call me the Iceman. If you saw where I live in the wintertime, you would understand that. So I grew up in North Dakota, and having grown up here and having worked in a variety of fields in North Dakota to where we had to put on a lot of miles in the wintertime, not only on the highway, but in my particular job, I had to do hundreds of miles off-road in extremely rural areas where there's no help in the wintertime alone, all by myself, in a pickup truck. And we had checklists and systems that were developed over time that were critical that we had to inspect on a monthly basis to make sure, and we'd have to refit and all that stuff, that we weren't missing something. Because if you get stranded in the wintertime, you can be dead. Or you can, if you don't have the right stuff in your car, you can be forced to walk and then die doing that. So there's a number of things when it comes to winter readiness in a vehicle that I hope will help you. And so I'm going to go over a decent part of the list. I have over 50 items on this list. And if you're on Patreon, you have full access to the printable PDF file of this exact list I'm using here, a checkbox list. So you can go right through and refit and all that stuff. So that's one of the values we provide over there. But I'm going to go over the general readiness checklist for extreme cold weather refit for your vehicle. This is the stuff you should have in your car if you live where it can snow and bury you. Now, when I was a kid, it happened a lot. And whether it be deer hunting or playing in the band or whatever, man, like you get stuck before they had cell phones in the middle of nowhere in North. If you've never been to North Dakota, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You're by yourself. You might as well be stuck on Neptune. So you actually, if someone did not have this stuff prepared, everyone would have died. Okay. So a lot of this I learned from various different people, mostly from my father and through my own actual experience. Okay. And I can quantify my experience below in the comments if you just guts to check it out, okay? So general readiness checklist. There's a few categories. We have the checklist itself. We have winter communication and travel planning. Super important. We have winter maintenance and mechanical for your vehicle. Stuff is different in an extreme cold weather context. And if you're new to a cold weather area, that's important. Basic snow recovery kit. This is not advanced stuff. This is not even professional grade. Basic winter recovery kit stuff, okay? That every car or truck, if you're going to drive out of town in a rural environment in the winter, you should have it. Shelter in place kit for the vehicle, and then also a comprehensive extreme cold weather vehicle clothing kit that you need to keep in your car. God forbid you did have to exit the vehicle to try to get unstuck or to dig it out or to attach a tow rope. There's stuff you absolutely need to have ready to go, okay? So this is arranged in order, by the way, of priority of easy stuff that's cheap. And then as we work down the list in each category, it'll be the more expensive stuff or the stuff that might require a little more training or energy. So the stuff at the top of the list should come first naturally. General readiness checklist. You guys ready? This is going to just be straight up. We're going to read the list, okay? Keep this checklist in a glove box. I've learned over the years, if you don't have it with you, you don't freaking have it, period. That's it. You need to have the checklist so you can make sure adequately you can see what you have in the car. Right? And if you change anything, if you transfer equipment from one vehicle to the other, or if you use the stuff, you need to do a refit. And then you need to mark down right here on, this is the printable one, you need to mark down when you last refit. If you're not organized, you're going to miss something that's critical. Ask me how I know. I've had all the bad stuff already happen to me. Hopefully this saves you and your kids and your family and your beloved wife. This you must give to your wife and help her get this situated and make sure the kids understand that it's good to be smart ahead of time. Winter communication and travel planning. So safest routes have to be pre-planned. You can't just like type in on your phone where to go and just follow this stupid thing. You will die. you need to do proper research and check the road conditions. Most states have a app or whatever. You can check where are the roads bad or closed or terrible right now. And it'll depend on context. If you're equipped to go through snow but not ice, then you might select a secondary route. But you need to pre-plan your route. You need to do it. Do not just type in the destination on your freaking not so smartphone and believe it. That's crazy. You have to pick the route and stick to the route in case you lose communication. Someone can find you and rescue you, okay? So pick the safest route based on your context. 2, someone informed. They have to be informed. You have to tell someone that where you're going. You have to tell them exactly where you're going, and you have to tell them exactly what road you're taking. Sweetheart, I'm going east on Highway 27. We're going to hit the interstate so-and-so, and then we're going to go south, and that's the route we're going to take. If that's blocked, then we'll take the other highway, Highway 42, this way. Okay? That's the 2 options I'm going to go in. If I can't make it on one of those 2, I'll just turn around and come home. So you have to have someone informed on where you're going to be. Because if you don't come home, you don't want to send out a search party in all directions. They have to know what road you're on. That'll help a lot. Do you want to wait in your car for 1 hour or for 3 days? Because in a freaking blizzard, the road might be shut down for 3 days. And that would suck. Do you really want to camp out overnight and pretend to be an Eskimo just on the fly? First try? No, terrible idea. 3, rescue deadline. So when I had a specific job, we did like 400 miles a day, and it was rural, wintertime. Didn't matter how terrible it was. We had to go check out these particular sites, or you had to do it. It didn't matter if there's 3 feet of snow or 1 foot of snow or 10 feet of snow, or if it was like closed roads, we had to go. You have to have a rescue deadline. So when it's bad out, when it's winter, our boss would say, right, at 4 o'clock, I want a phone call or a text one way or the other. Are you on the highway yet? On your way home? Are you safe or are you not safe? And then you have to have a deadline. Like by this time, if I did not call, if I did not hear from you, I'm going to assume you're stuck someplace where you can't get a cell phone call, and I'm going to send out a helicopter to find you. And I'll be pissed if you just forgot to call me. So it has to be a rescue deadline that you understand is critical, that you can't miss it. You have to check in. That requires that both people are going to acknowledge the text. So you have to tell them, if you don't respond to this deadline, this is going to be bad. Because it's very serious. Your life depends on communication. You need a whiteboard is one thing. Have it in the kitchen, whatever, in the shop, and make it a practice. Honey, I went to town, this particular town. I took this road. I'll be back by noon. So you have a backup. So that if someone forgets yesterday from today, they can have a physical copy. Real-time updates need to be sent. So if you change anything, make sure you call them when you can call them from a good spot. Before you try to go down some new route, make sure you call them before you embark on your mysterious route. They have to know. So real-time updates. And then backup comms. So these are pretty reliable in most areas, but in some areas are not. If you have 2 flip phones or one of these smartphones, whichever one, if you have 2 phones, bring them both. And have backup cables. Kid trips over a cable, or you stack the groceries in the car or whatever, and the cable gets broke and your phone runs out of juice, you need a backup. Cables are cheap. So keep that stuff in your car. Okay, category, what would this be, 3? Winter maintenance and mechanical. This is basic stuff for your car. I'm going to go through it real quick. Mechanical condition needs to be inspected before winter. If you're new to the north, where it's actually cold, you can't get away with a vehicle that's not going to run for sure. You have to have a mechanic check stuff. I'm thinking radiator hoses. I'm thinking all the seals. You don't want any leaks. You want your fluids to be healthy and the right mixture of all the different stuff. So you want your fuel. Before you leave, it has to be topped off. So keep your fuel tank before you leave completely topped off. Why? What if you get stuck? What if you go off in the ditch and you just can't get out? At least maybe you can keep the vehicle running. Be careful with snow. We talk about that on Patreon. But you can keep the vehicle running to stay warm. periodically turn it on. But if you run out of gas, you're really in big trouble. And you'll sit in the ditch maybe for a day. So make sure you have enough fuel to stay warm. So top off your gas. Okay? Ice scraper, right? And brush in the vehicle. I hope that's obvious to you guys. Your tow points. If you get stuck or if you slide in the ditch, you need to know where someone can hook up. Even if you don't have a tow rope, you need to let your wife know, here's where you're going to hook on when you get stuck. Not if you get stuck. When you get stuck, here's where you need to hook the rope. Do not hook it here. The front half of the car will just break off. It's made out of styrofoam, sweetheart. This part, this is called the frame. Hook here. Or I installed, if you're smart, a tow hook on your Subaru car so that just hook onto this hook. It's, you know what I mean? Or your Toyota, whatever. Put a tow hook on there if you can. Tell the mechanic to weld one on. So they need to know the tow points, and they need to be able to feel them, because what if you're buried in snow? You can't get your head under there. You have to dig under there to hook the rope on. Ever have that happen? I've had it happen dozens of times. Okay. Spare tire and winter change tire for your tire kit needs to be accessible for winter. Some of those stupid new SUVs and pickups, that rear tire, that the spare tire's under the box, and you gotta like lower it on a cable. That might not work when there's this much ice caked under there and as hard as a rock, like granite. Now it's frozen permanently. Are you gonna lay under there for 10 hours chiseling it out like Michelangelo's statue? Not a good idea. So you might have to think ahead, and you might have to securely put the tire, if you're driving a pickup, in the pickup box where you can get it. That's what I did when I worked out in the bush. I'm not going to bet on being able to get that tire out from under there in the winter. So we had it in the back, but have it secured with ropes and straps and have it locked down. Okay. Your radiator in winter blend, you need to make sure your radiator fluid has the proper amount of antifreeze in it so that it actually works for your region. North Dakota, Minnesota, freaking cold. You need to make sure it's proper. If you don't know how to do that, you can check it with a little tool. Take it to the mechanic and say, hey, is my radiator fluid good? De-icer, it's good to have spare de-icer. You're gonna have stuff splashing on your windshield. If you can't see, you will crash. And your de-icer needs to be topped off. You can't find out mid-trip. It has to be topped off before you go, so you have plenty on the trip. You understand the concept? Be smart ahead of time. You know how many people crashed into stuff because they couldn't see out the windows? Yeah, that's not good. Diesel. If you're running a diesel pickup, you need to run, if you're not familiar with it, you need to run like a winter mix or #1 diesel. Some pumps will have #2. That's like normal diesel for the rest of the country. #1, it's a different blend. It's not going to gel as fast. That's for ultra cold weather. So you can mix that in with your #2, or you can just use it straight if it's apocalyptically cold, or use a winter mix, or ask the guy at the pump which one of these is best for winter. You don't want your diesel gelling up. You will be dead in your tracks. And you can also have like that anti-gelling additive. There's that diesel 911 in the red bottle. That's what I used to use. You dump that in there if it's like stupid cold and it starts acting funny before it dies. Before it's clogged, you have to put it in there before it actually shuts down. Farmers would use that all the time up here. Winter tires. That's more expensive. But most people up here that I know that live rural and do a lot of highway travel, they'll have a special set of tires on different rims for winter. And they'll make sure they have good winter tires. If you have good rubber and you know how to drive by not being stupid and not being in a hurry, you have pretty good control of the vehicle. But your tire design is hugely important. Studs can help a lot, but there's limitations there. We've never used chains really up here, except I use it on my tractors for inside the yard. Because if you know how to drive and you have the proper tires, you know what I mean? And chains are so impractical for long distance traveling. Like if you're up in the north where it's huge, like 100-mile trip, you can't drive 100 miles of chains. You can save them for emergencies like in a tight spot, but just have good designed tires, guys. Okay, ask the tire guy. I need a good winter tire. They'll know what they're in their brand, what would work good. A block heater. There's all sorts of different doodads and stuff you can attach onto the hoses. There's all sorts of clever ideas out there. An actual block heater that warms the block of the engine. It'll have an extension cord on it. If you don't know what that is, you need to have that installed. If you're up north, any mechanic that changes oil can change that out in like half an hour or whatever. Then he'll let you plug it in when you park it to an electrical receptacle, and it'll keep the engine warm enough to turn over. When it's 35 below, the car, like if you got a Toyota, it'll start at 35 below. But will all the seals blow out? Ask me how I know that one. I don't need to plug it in. It starts when it's 35 below. That's 35 below, not counting wind chill. 5 minutes later, and then you come out. Okay, it's warmed up. Oh no, the oil's all on the ground. Yeah, you blew the rear seal off your engine because you were stupid and you didn't have a block heater plugged in. Ask me how I know. So block heater will save you a lot of money. It'll save you money. It doesn't cost money. It saves you money. Jumper cables, heavy gauge, and as long as possible. Heavy gauge, so the electricity actually goes through them. Cheap jumper cables are not that helpful. I've jumped cars off of spare pieces of barbed wire out in the bush of the Badlands. But it's better to have good quality jumper cables. More electricity goes through good heavy gauge cables, and it needs to be long enough to where you can hook it onto, if your nose into something, if you're parked in to where nobody can, if they have to park behind you, the cable needs to make it the length of your vehicle to their vehicle. So it needs to be long enough to get behind your vehicle if you're parked nose in someplace. So that is the jumper cables. That is my wife's phone, if you hear that in the background. Lithium jumper battery options. Those little battery packs are like $100. If you got money, that's helpful. We use ours several times a month in the wintertime up here, and even in the summertime. And they're small enough you can keep it in the back, in the pouch behind your seat in your car. Nowadays, they're really affordable and really powerful. I can leave links below to the stuff, guys, if I remember to put the links in. If I forget, let me know. And then a basic snow recovery kit. So this is the recovery kit for your vehicle. You need a tow rope or a strap. A chain is not going to be as good as a tow rope in some ways. A chain is strong. A chain will definitely grab. But sometimes in the method employed in commonly removing vehicles from ditches, it takes a little bit of a jar, like a little bit of a jump, and there's going to be slack in there, and you want a little bit of forgiveness. Otherwise, it hits so hard, it'll like destroy things. Because there's, especially when you're working your way forwards and backwards with someone else, there's a little more flexibility in a tow strap or a rope, like a good tow rope. And here's the trick, guys. You want the longest one you can afford. Why do I say that? If you go in the ditch, that's 30 feet down into the ditch right there. A 30-foot tow rope will only be able to pull you perpendicular straight to the road, because the guy pulling you out is not going to drive in the ditch when there's 10 feet of snow in the ditch. 10 feet of snow? Yes, absolutely. 2 years ago, we had more than that in the ditch. He's going to need to be on the road. And he's not going to be able to pull you perpendicular up. He needs to go in front of you so you can go nose on and gradually steer up out of the ditch. You need more length than you think. I use tow ropes multiple times a year. My wife uses tow ropes multiple times a year in the wintertime, either to help other people or to get out yourself. And if you have one, anyone can tow you out. As long as you can hook onto something. Anyone can give you a little boost. Most people, surprisingly, nowadays, man, you'd be shocked how many people don't have a tow rope. But if you don't have one in the car. It does no good to you in the garage. It has to be in the car. What? You can't, let me drive back. Let me get unstuck. Let me dig this vehicle out real quick. Drive back, get my tow rope, then come out and tow myself out. Freaking stupid. It's not how it works. Oh boy, right? So you need a tow rope in the car. A long one, as long as you can afford it. Make sure it's rated for the proper weight to pull your car out. in your vehicle. I'm going to be very specific with the shovel recommendations. You're going to need, for wintertime stuff, a small grain scoop D-handled shovel. They're like the steel or aluminum shovels. That's like a scoop. It is not like a large grain scoop, or a snow shovel is not the same thing as what I'm talking about. A grain scoop shovel with the, like I can leave a link for you so you can see what I'm talking about if you don't know. And a D handle so you can pull it back out. But you need to get one arm deep underneath the car so you can dig out the axles. And if you get high centered in heavy wet snow, if it's too big of a shovel, guys, I said a small shovel scoop. So it can remove a decent amount of snow, but not so much you can't actually lift it out, or your wife can't operate it, or you have a heart attack because it's cold out. If it's cold and your mitochondria are already stressed and you're working hard, people have heart attacks all the time. So make it small enough to where you or your kids or your wife can help you with it. Okay? A long square tip D handle. Regular shovel. Small one. Why? That's for getting underneath the car again. That's so the places, if it's like, if you got a lower vehicle, a big shovel can't fit under there. And it's for the really hard packed, really slushy or frozen stuff. You're going to need a real shovel. So 2 shovels, like a scoop to actually remove a decent amount of snow, and then a smaller one to get under the hard places or work through the really stiff stuff. Some of that snow gets wind packed. It's like concrete. It's like like really, really hard. Okay. Then we have heavy duty power puller or a winch. That's down the list because it costs some money and it requires a little bit of training to operate that. But if you're by yourself and you have trees, if you have a power puller with a big lever, you can ratchet that sucker out. You can use your toe strap and pull yourself out. You can get anchors and all that stuff for winching. But it's different in cold, like a sand anchor, like you would use in the desert for your off-roading stuff. You got to remember, in a cold climate, the ground is basically solid granite, solid frozen. Like it's like ice. So you're going to have to pound in whatever you're using for an anchor into ice. So be mindful of that. I know a lot of ways old farmers do it. Some guys have a T-post pounder and a couple T-posts. The old style T-post that's actually made out of steel, not the new crappy ones from the hardware store. Because it's made out of some kind of Chinesium or something. But you're going to have to pound it into the ice. It'll be a TD or like a big hammer and some steel spikes that you can pound into the ground with something to hook onto the end. Okay. I have another list here, and it looks like we have, I'm going to go through the shelter in place kit, but I'm going to stop at the vehicle clothing kit because that's on Patreon. The shelter in place kit, and this is on the list available on Patreon too, the checkbox. Wool blankets for all passengers. Wool blanket, okay? It can be a little bit wet. If you get wet when you're shoveling and you put a blanket on, the blanket gets wet. Blanket uses all thermal property. Wool retains thermal property when wet. Use wool blanket. When unburying car unsuccessfully, you're soaked from head to toe, you still have a wool blanket, which is good for being wet, okay? A full change of clothes with towel for when you're wet, for when the snow is blowing on you, and then you sit back in the car that's warm, and then you're wet. If you don't have you need a change of dry clothes. Socks especially, but you need like a towel, underwear, pants, all that stuff, a full change of clothes, okay? For whoever's going to be outside digging in the snow or getting snow blown on them, you'll be soaked head to toe trying to get a vehicle unstuck. And you won't always be successful getting it unstuck. Headlamps. They're like little Duracell or Energizer, little, elastic strap things that go on your head so that you can use your hands and tools while seeing in the dark. You can go under the vehicle with your shovel and the lights on your head. Wherever you look is the light. What a deal. See, to me, that's money right there. That's so helpful to know that exists. Yep. Bic lighters. 2 Bic lighters. Do you want to practice your fire starting kit? Do you want to practice that? Just no. Have a Bic lighter. That's the easiest way to start a fire. And with your Bic lighters, you're going to need a large emergency candle. This was on our required kit when I had my job out in the bush. Emergency candle? The hell are you going to do with that? You'd be surprised how much BTUs a candle puts off in a little car. It might be the difference between freezing your butt off and just being a little cold. Sterno. Now, you want to be careful not to freaking carbon monoxide yourself when you're burning things like sterno. Crack a window appropriately, make sure it's well ventilated. But a canned heat, it's like a little can. You undo it, you light it, and it nice and cozy, warm. A little heater. Don't light the car on fire, for God's sakes. Be careful where you set it. Don't put it under the blanket. Use your brain. Don't be one of the statistics that dies from being stupid. But sterno can help you if you don't light yourself on fire or suffocate yourself with it. Okay? You're going to want calories. You need calories. Your body can stay incredibly warm if you're fed. That's how critters survive the winter. That's why they get fat ahead of time. I like to have meals that are ready to eat. Something that you don't have to cook or do weird stuff with. Those Army MREs are actually really compact and highly dense in food. And they last a long time, and they can freeze and thaw a million times in the car and still kind of work. They're not my favorite, but then it will also not tempt people to eat them as a snack so that it's actually there in an emergency. So I keep those MREs. I actually keep a small crate, a little box in the back, because I got a family. Everybody can stay fully fed and fully happy. And also, guys, if you don't have all this stuff in your car, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to be a psychic. I'm going to be Jackie Stallone's psychic circle and tell you what you're going to do and how you're going to die. You're going to be stupid because you're not going to have stuff to drink. You're not going to have any food, and you're going to be freezing your butt off in your car because you're wet, because you didn't have your wet change of clothes, or because you couldn't get unstuck because you had the wrong shovel. Now you're going to try walking. You're going to get hit by a semi. I had family get decapitated by that, by exiting the vehicle in the winter. No, you have to stay in the car. You should not walk somewhere. Well, I'm going to go for help. You're going to be a popsicle frozen in the ditch. They're going to find you next spring. It happens all the time out here. People die all the time leaving the stupid car. Stay in your car. Especially if visibility is bad. You will get lost. Yes, on the road. Stuff happens. So if you have food in the car, you have everything you need to stay happy and comfortable in there, there's no incentive for people to send you off to rescue. Well, I need a sandwich. Go to Arby's. No, we're going to eat this MRE in this car, and we're going to be happy and just be calm in the car, and we're going to blow on this harmonica that I brought, and we're going to play this, whatever board game or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Stay in the car, whatever you need to do. And then a case of Gatorade or equivalent. That's something I learned from an old soldier. He says, dude, keep Gatorade in the car because it doesn't freeze as fast as water because it's already got its own electrolytic antifreeze in it. Well, that's pretty smart. It'll still freeze solid in North Dakota every night in the winter, but it'll unthaw way more quickly than water will. And Gatorade is that's electrolytes. That's what you need. That's what plants crave, right? That's what guys who dig out cars crave. Electrolytes. Okay, I'm funny. And then signal device. If you're deep in the ditch, people are gonna assume that car has already been rescued. And your windows will be iced up and fogged out, so they can't see inside to see there's people in there waving. So, and here's the other thing too. You might not be able to open your door to get out of the car if the snow is up to the windows. Maybe you'll only be able to crack the window and hold a flare out there and signal as someone drives by. Okay, you understand the concept? Or throw it up, something. So now, follow all flaring safety rules. Don't throw flares up on highways where cars are driving. But you understand the concept. like having some kind of signal device that's obvious that there is people there. Walk out, properly place it on the shoulder of the road when the car is coming, crawl out the window, walk up to the shoulder, crack it, put it there, and let it do its thing, and then people will actually see it and stop. Okay? If you found this to be helpful, let me know. I got a whole list of things for your feet, your legs, your torso, your hands, your neck and face, extreme cold weather gear that people neglect, and exactly how to layer it. That's going to be on, I uploaded that actually this morning on Patreon. So if you're on a paid subscription tier at Patreon, it's pretty cheap. You'll have the full list, and then you can have access to all the other videos we do. We get like 50 posts again this month. 50 exclusive posts. So if you found value here, that's awesome. I hope this is helpful. But there's a tremendous amount of value over there, worth way more than we charge. Exponentially, thousands of fold more than we charge on Patreon. If you work out the math, if you know how to do math, you'll figure it out pretty quick. And everyone who's there is very happy to be there as well. So if you guys have any questions, you can PM me within Patreon, and I will answer your questions. I do that daily. And hopefully you guys stay warm. Have a wonderful rest of the winter, and be safe out there. Rex out.